So it's Saturday the 20th of April 2019 and I'm trekking on the Brecon Beacons mountains. Next stage of Everest Base Camp, prepping, getting my legs ready, cardiovascular, muscular endurance, all that. And I'm going to be trekking up to Corndhu, then crossing to Pen y Fan, then going down the valley that overlooks Brecon town, then up to Cribyn, and then do a U-turn on contour in reverse, but slightly different trail. So anyway, here we go. That I zoomed in on before I started terrain up was a false ridge, and I've travelled twice the distance. And I did that not too bad in about 17 minutes. Something like that in altitude above 3,000, 4,000 metres is going to take well over an hour. I was a bit breathy, but still did okay, better than what I did in 2013, which is the last time I was up here with my mate Mountain Goat Dave. And my hip really played up, but not doing too bad considering my age, old enough to be your dad and then some, and 2 total hip replacements in both legs, so it's going pretty well. So now it's onwards and upwards, a little bit of respite going down, then up to Corndhu. Even walking down on the descent, especially if it's pretty steep going down and uneven, also works the muscles, what's called the antagonists. So you've got the agonist, which is the main muscle that works when you're resisting gravity, but then when you're going into it. So it's just as important to get condition, keeping your balance so you don't slip, because the muscles work totally differently, and if you're not careful you can actually sort of get a bit too relaxed because you're getting a bit of respite going downhill after the effort to go up. So you still got to keep your focus, because it's at this point when you get a lot of injuries, unexpected injuries. People twist their knees, twist their ankles, and that's it, game over. Head down, backside up, and you just slog on and get on with it. Crack on, you know. But if this was altitude, it would have been a different kettle of fish, but obviously adjusting to it. I was stopping and starting a few times on the final bit of incline. Just under 10 kilos in the rucksack. Some snacks, some food, some fluids. Also a bit of extra weight with extra bits and pieces just to actually give me a bit of resistance, because obviously I'll be carrying less than that when I'm out on the trail on Everest Base Camp. This is the first time for years I've been able to see the views. The past 10 odd years I've been up here, it's all been grey outs, in the rain, white out, hanging onto boulders, getting caught in a windy twister, 78 miles an hour winds, and now it's like there's hardly a breeze on my shaved head, and that's a real sensor, Geiger counter if you want to call it, as to the chill factor. But it's just wonderful to see all the views. And this is sort of Brecon Beacons, and it just really sort of lifts the spirit. So multiplied infinitely what it's going to be like in the Himalayas. Okay, I've got enough time to get to Cribyn and then get back to where I started before it gets dark. Even if it gets dark halfway back, I'm going to know the terrain anyway, and it's not predicted to be misty. But this place here brings back memories about 5 years ago when I was up here with me and my mate Mountain Goat Dave, and we camped overnight in the valley down there. And we made our way back up this trail that I'm ready to go down now. And we got caught in a twister. Obviously it had our names on it. And this is where we got caught out, just here. And that boulder, one of those two boulders, was the one I was hanging on to. In relation to where we trekked up, I believe it was just that one there. And even though I was under the ground level, David trekked up here and got caught and got blown off his feet about 6 foot up in the air and landed just about there. Lucky enough, didn't go over the edge. And then crawled over, just over to there, and waited for me to come up. He felt severely injured, but he crawled over because he had to warn me as he was set here for when I was coming up somewhere around here. We walked up into a grey out, 60-70 mile an hour winds minimum, and totally took us by surprise. I mean, this place can just catch you out. I know of many people in the military that have been training up here, that's why they come up here. And I've had some really adverse circumstances, sort of life-threatening circumstances, but you know, we weren't expecting it. But you can imagine just about here is where it all kicked off. And you can imagine from where the wind originally kicked up Dave, took him off his feet. He was darn lucky it didn't end up down there, and that's what he was concerned with. So as I say, he crawled over straight away and was waiting. Although he couldn't actually see, could just about see in the grey out, and I stuck my head up about there, and with a few expletives he said, "Get your head down." So we end up crawling on all fours, and we were stuck in about that place just there for about 10-15 minutes, and then our temperature started to reduce. We were starting to get the shivers, and odds on we'd have probably got hypothermia, so we had to crawl back, which was normally about sort of 5-6 minute walk back to Corndu, and then go down the path or down the trail. But it took us 35-40 minutes to crawl back right over the plateau and stay out of the wind. But anyway, a lot of people didn't believe it. You know, a day like today, you wouldn't, would you? Sun, beautiful weather. You can see all the scenery, the vistas for miles around. So I'm really savouring this, because this is the first time in about 10 years I've had a chance, if not maybe longer, to see all these views. But I say, taking a bit of an intake of breath just at this location, because it was pretty touch and go. Had a couple of armchair warriors saying, "Oh, you should have kept to the trail." Duh, brain. What do you think that is? We did. And nearly ended up going over there. You can really feel this where the thigh muscle inserts into the top of the knee, because you're trying to resist gravity, but at the same time control your balance and work in the muscles opposite from when you're going up. So conditioning coming down, and there's going to be some terrains like this in Nanche Bazaar, the Sherpa village. So I had better make sure that I'm going to be able to cope with that, hence all this conditioning. And a lot of the step training I've been doing has really paid dividends, because I know the ability to do this now wouldn't be as potentially controllable if I hadn't, and I could have set myself up for injury. Anyway, let's plod on. I've never been up here on all this terrain in such clement weather. Clear, mild. It's the mildest weather I've ever experienced up here. Every other time there might have been a little bit of dash of sun, a bit of cloud, always a white out, a grey out, and always really adverse weather. So this is just a blessing, and being able to take advantage of it before I leave in May. In May for the Himalayas. So just over here is where me and Dave camped up for the night on the Friday. Pitched up about 9 o'clock at night, and the sky cleared, had about 50% cloud. You can see the stars. It was really nice and mild. Then, as I featured in the video, which I uploaded a few years back, a storm hit us right in this valley, and nearly ripped Dave's basher off the ground. My Pro Action Tiger Paws mountain tent, based on the Norwegian Slavabard, I think it's called, held up. Really impressed. And then that sort of kicked in about 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and then just calmed down. and it was mild again in the morning as if it never happened. Schizophrenic, quadrophenic, phonic, whatever you want to call it, weather up in this place. But I mean the scenes and the vistas from here. There's Cribyn. I was going to go up there and then detour all round the other side, then loop the loop and come round this way. But I think I'll just enjoy the views here just for a moment. As you can see, there's Brecon in the far distance, town of Brecon. Like I say, it's the first time I've been able to see these really properly, all these slopes. But I think it was about just here that we pitched. Dave had his tarp there and I had my tent there, and the path is just there. So I've come further beyond where that valley was, where I'd pitched up, me and Dave, mountain goats basher in my tent, and I've come all the way back up, which is even more steeper and longer, to go up an even steeper incline where I've just come down, returning to Pen y Fan Plateau, which in retrospect is more of a graft, an exertion, than if I'd gone up Cribyn behind me, which is a steady sort of gradient. It's still steep, still difficult, but coming back up this is actually more of a challenge. So I've just scrambled up that last little bit on my hands and knees there just to get stability, but I went all the way down there and then down to that wet patch and then all the way back up again. So it's coming up to about 7:30 on Saturday evening. Still bright. I've got about another hour at this height of reasonable light. The moon is going to be virtually, it was starting to be on the wane. It was full moon the other night, I think last night. So if the sky's clear, which it's going to be, there'll be a bit of brightness from there. But I'm just going to take a steady trek now back. There's a few people up here. We'll see late night trekkers, a little bit more hardened, coming into sort of fresher air. It's got a bit fresher now, but I'll get hot easily. I'm still going to just keep a t-shirt. The dusky light. It's come from right over the other side there. They're just looking at this slope and the terrain. All of the rock faces and the terrain and valleys were all sculpted out and carved out during the Ice Age. So you imagine there was massive, great glaciers. Imagine that. The depth of the valleys, higher than the peaks of these mountains, gouging out the ground, a bit like me, skidding down the scree. Don't know Bear Grylls? Not. So that's the path I've been taking to get up, but now I'm going to go down this one and contour around the edge of Corndhu. And this will take me further down. So it's slightly different views, or as they say in Wales, view from Corndhu. Obviously that ridge sort of masks this bit on this bit of path, but here you can see the valley that's to my left. So I've got a view slightly different than the way back, due to the fact I'm on a lower terrain path, trail. And I'm going to have enough daylight just to really savour these fantastic views, which, as I say, is a real novelty, absolute novelty. And the weather, I mean, there's a slight chill in the air, but there's no breeze, there's no wind. I've never been on Brecon Beacons for sort of this period of time. It's been quite a long time today, where there's hardly been any breeze. Absolutely unbelievable. It's if they planted Brecon Beacons and put them somewhere in a slight subtropical area. But anyway, cop that. So it's coming up to about 7:45, and before it starts to get dark, a few more views you can see. There's Corndu, and I came up that edge, but right over the other side there, and then further down yonder. But you can see the bearings where I am now. I'm taking this trail, which is basically descend. So basically where I just contoured round Corndu, sort of hang a slight left and then coming down here, and can just see there's enough daylight to comfortably walk. I mean, it's still a clear night. There's some people that have actually passed all different directions since coming back up to Pen y Fan, and sort of they're out for a night stroll and what have you, so taking advantage of the clear sky, the clear night, and it's just nice to see people out enjoying it, especially if they're a bit more adventurous and they like coming out at night. Seen some trekkers with right kitted up rucksacks, camping kit and what have you, so of course it's the weekend, so everyone's out taking advantage of this great weather on a great part of the United Kingdom. But Wales, it's a separate country, and it's got some fantastic terrain and some really nice people that I know. And if you're watching, guys, you know you are. So anyway, probably bring this to a closure soon as I get back to the car park, knock myself up a brew, sleep overnight in the car in my maggot sleeping bag, Arctic bag that my nephew gave me, and see what I'll get up to tomorrow around here on Sunday. Okay, so I've come back to my car, and I've got one of the rocket pouches that was on my Brecon, which I left in the boot. I've got my food stuff, so I'll put that in the footwell, so that's going to be my admin working space. And just outside the door, I've got my little gas stove saucepan. I just had a little bit of a nibble. First time I've tried this stuff. It's actually bacon jerky, so that was nice. So that's just given me a bit of protein, some calories quick, and then I've got some pre-cooked microwavable rice, golden vegetable rice, which I'm going to heat up with my lamb chickpea tagine, and I'm going to mix it all in there and eat it out of the saucepan. Can't wait. Really need to replace some calories after all that graft all afternoon for 5 hours trekking out from 4 o'clock. And finished trekking, got back to the car just after 9:30. So let's get some calories back down that throat. So I've got everything I need accessible in the footwell, and that's just heating through now. So that's going to be my late night supper as I sit in the car park in my car next to the
470, and just in the distance the moon. Oh, that's brilliant. It's just rising over the crest as I look just over the tip of my door, and there's the moon. Oh, spot on. Just rising over the crest of that ridge, and to the left of it is where I've been, up Corndu, Penarfan. But that'll soon be ready to eat. Well deserved after a busy trekkie day. Bring it on. Yummy. All in one. Cappuccino coffee. At 11:30 at night.
Beautiful scenery on a Sunday afternoon, but I know from getting the frame of mind on the treadmill and the mask and sort of pacing out and imagining where I will be on the Everest Base Camp Trail, I sort of went into that mode when I was going up to Corndou and Penai Fan. So all that sort of, it's all based on sports psychology and all that sort of stuff which I've worked on and studied, and it's been part of my work over the years. So I thought, right, this has never been more of a case where I've had to apply it myself so in depth. Anyway, at a real snail's pace, so I don't even feel breathy. But it's such a lovely day, and just this nice steady pace, nice and comfortable. I mean, what wonderful scenery. And that's where I was yesterday. Summit on the right, Corndou, and then the summit on the left, little plateau, Penai Fan. Keeping hydrated, sips of water, chewing a sugary sweet, so that dilutes with the water in your stomach, and you get a sort of carbohydrate isotonic effect, so the water gets absorbed into the muscles rather than flushing through with that content of sugar in it. Or you can do it with like a cordial fruit juice mixed with water. I did a video on isotonic drinks when I was a personal trainer and how we used to administer them. I did a video on that a few years ago, so that's on my channel if you want to check it out. But what I'm considering doing is I just take this nice little bit of scenery here, and then I'm thinking of maybe taking a bit of a contour around and then traversing up onto a higher peak, so I actually come off the trail. Stay actually on the trail and just sit down at a sup of water, and there was a bloke walking just along here. I went to move to get up and he went, no, it's all cool, came round here and then carried on up there. And just by his demeanour, the way he was strutting, shorts, t-shirt, small backpack and his sturdy build, something tells me he wasn't Civvy Street. And well, sometimes you can just tell by people's body language and the way they just carry themselves, and certainly wouldn't have been walking on the edge unless their lifestyle was living on the edge, if you get my meaning. But anyway, lovely views. And in front of me again, back to where I was yesterday. If you can put up with the sound of the water when you're asleep, that's a nice little wild camp spot there where you've got a water source right next to you. Have a little paddle in there if you want. The views and the sound of running water naturally in a stream and a little mini waterfall, can't beat it. Sight and sounds of nature under the sunlight, spot on. Okay, so I'm going to bring this video to a close. From today I've got about 20 days until I leave for Everest Base Camp. And yeah, the preparation has been hard work, but altitude, that's the thing. You can be as fit as a fiddle, but if genetically you can't adjust to altitude properly, or you don't have the altitude stopovers where you sleep for 2 nights at least in 2 different locations, you trek high and then sleep low, and then your body starts to adjust the biochemistry, giving you the red blood cells, producing more mitochondria, hemoglobin, all that sort of process, and that helps the oxygenation of the blood flow, considering there's lack of oxygen when you're at high altitude. I know exactly the route, the amount of days, where I'm going to be on certain days, what locations, and relate it to a map as well. So the conditioning I've been doing has all been appropriate. You know, we can't all get to the mountains every day or every week, let alone every month. So I've had to replicate things. So again, it's just adapting. So it's just doing the best you can. You know, sort of my experience as a personal trainer over the years, I've trained athletes, exercise people, actual, you know, people learning to be exercise professionals for over 20 years. I've also been involved with sports psychology, which I studied and then applied it. So there's all visualization techniques, all that sort of thing. Basically, you know, you can do nothing at all if you don't want to do anything, and just take a chance. But I want to put all the odds on my side, hence doing the training, just also sharing this weekend. So at least probably get an idea, not just for sort of training for any big trek, but just this environment. And if ever you do sort of visit this area of Wales, you've had a pretty good perspective of what it's like, especially if you're lucky enough to be blessed with really nice weather, and you can really take advantage of the views, the vistas, and the whole atmosphere. A guy I know summited Everest in 2011. He did it solo, but obviously with Sherpas and guides and what have you. He holds the world record for rowing across the Atlantic single-handed, pedalling, cycling around the world, and now he's actually set off the end of March for 6 months, travelling around the world, first man to do it in a gyrocopter. And he's stopping off at schools all around the world to give talks about sort of motivation and kids sort of looking to the future and bettering themselves, all that sort of thing. But the point being, well, one of the group that was actually following up to do Summit Everest, one of them was a Ironman athlete. You name it, he'd done it. But the problem was he didn't have quite the right mental attitude, because he was going to smash it, he was going to force it, just like he'd done everything else in his competitive lifestyle, athletics, and sports he'd done, and winning trophies and becoming quite elite in what he did and what he has done. It takes a different sort of mindset when you're doing something like Everest and altitude and that sort of thing. Anyway, you've got 4 camps. You've got base camp, you've got camp 1, 2, 3, 4. Long and the short of it, he didn't even make it to camp 2. He got airlifted out with acute mountain sickness and had to be evacuated emergency as soon as possible. So, you know, and this guy was as fit as a fiddle, probably one of the fittest people there. But that doesn't mean to say that you're stamped okay
to get that stamped card to get up to Everest. So for me, all I'm doing is the best that I can, and give me the best chance, and that's what it's all about. Calculated challenge and planning ahead and doing the best you can. So literally, finally, to finish off, sharing both aspects, just coming here anyway so you can see the views, share the experience, and also part of my objective of the main reason why I was here as well. So as always, thanks for watching, really appreciate your interest. Give yourself a challenge maybe in the future, and I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers, take care.